Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in this video I'll be doing my review of AEW All In London. So first up on the 0 hour, we had MJF and Adam Cole defeat Aussie Open to become the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. I thought this was a great match. MJF and Adam Cole got a huge pop, but I did find the match kind of short. I would love to see these two have like a longer and a rematch at the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I'm not sure which one that is, as I don't keep up with Ring of Honor regularly. But yeah, I think it was a really quality match. I like how Aussie Open targeted MJF more than Adam Cole, knowing he's the world champion. And I can imagine that also would have helped, would have been liked by Adam Cole because obviously the world champion was in for most of the match in the main event. But yeah, I think it was a really good way, and it did play kind of into the main event that MJF was the weaker one. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really great way to start the show. I've not really got much else to say about it, as I said, it was kind of short. Following that, we had Hook defeat Jack Perry in an FTW rules match to become the new FTW champion. I thought it was a decent match. It hit all the points an FTW rules match would. I did expect it to be a bit more bloodier on Jack Perry's point, just because of how much of a dick he's been to Taz and all the ECW legends and to Hook originally. There was a beautiful Rolling Thunder from Jack Perry on the car. I thought that was really, really good, and obviously harkening back to a few weeks ago, Rob Van Dam. The real glass, Crimea River, whatever he said. I think it's just Perry poking fun at Punk. I feel like Punk's been way too sensitive in this situation, and for it to become a physical altercation backstage, I think is ridiculous. I don't know, it feels like an immature move from a veteran like Punk, but it's also an unnecessary poke at the bear from Jack Perry. They're both in the wrong, but it didn't need to get to a point where they're both like being suspended. It's all I'm really going to say on it. I'm not going to mention it during the Punk match. But yeah, it's just, for me, there is only one common denominator. Easy for me to say. Only one common denominator in all of this backstage bollocks, and that is CM Punk. And I just don't think he is worth the drama at all. I love CM Punk, or at least I used to. And the fact that this has come up so much since he's been in AEW is very sad to see. And if I was AEW, I'd be considering getting rid just to stop the drama backstage and to stop the toxic feels backstage that we know happens because they have to keep people apart for Punk. But anyway, back to the match. Yeah, I think it was good. I enjoyed it. As someone who's in the arena, it was hard to see all the stuff that happened on the car. We had to watch the screen, which is a bit of a shame. But once it got into the ring, it was really good. I liked the way that Jack Perry was going to do a coast to coast and then swore the crowd off, which I enjoyed. And yeah, I'm interested to see what Jack Perry does next whenever we see him again. And as for Hook, I think he's going to have some good feuds for the FTW Championship. Who against? I have no idea. But either way, I think both men have come out looking really good here. And yeah, hopefully Jack Perry's not out for too long. So the first match on the main show was CM Punk defeating Samoa Joe to retain the real World Championship. Or the X Division Championship, if you will, as I keep calling it. But yeah, this wasn't a bad match. Samoa Joe controlled for the most part, especially near the end of the match and towards the finish. Samoa Joe was quite firmly on top, and then it was like a sudden Pepsi plunge, and then Punk got the win. I feel like it would have taken way more to beat Samoa Joe, and it kind of made him look weak in my opinion. I know that the Pepsi plunge is something that Punk only uses every so often, but it still just didn't seem like enough to beat Joe. He could have maybe tried the Anaconda Vice, maybe hit the GTS, then gone for the Pepsi plunge. And anyone who says, oh, well, he can't lift up Samoa Joe, he did it on Collision, so there's no proof that he can't do it. So I don't know, I felt like this wasn't a great finish, and the finish let it down for the most part. One thing I did enjoy was Samoa Joe, even though he's the heel in the match, maybe not heel in real life, he was playing with the crowd a lot. He was all interacting with them, being a little bit silly, but also very violent. Obviously put Punk through the table, but it was the front of the table, which is a spot I never thought I'd see. It was a very cool spot, which then busted Punk open. And yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I said it wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't great either. And yeah, I think Samoa Joe will move on to I can imagine he's going to concentrate more on Ring of Honor now, as I assume there's a pay-per-view coming up for them. As for Punk, well, if he's suspended again, then we'll see him in a few months, I guess. But, you know, for someone who is the real world champion, definitely not acting like one. Following that, we had Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold defeat Omega, Hangman, and Ibushi, you know, Golden Elite. But yeah, I thought this was an action-packed match. It was very good. I enjoyed it. I expected more one-on-one altercations from people, so like Takeshita and Omega, and Ibushi and Takeshita as well, and Jay White and Omega. Just as like mini one-on-one matches within a match. Where there wasn't really much of that. I know there was a fair bit of time between Kenny and Jay White, but Bullet Club Gold were tagging in pretty regularly. But as I said, it was enjoyable for the most part. I've got nothing really bad to say about it, all good for my opinion. And yeah, for me, the right guys won, and then this is now set up for All Out, where it can be Takeshita and Omega one-on-one, which was announced during the media scrum after the event. That's the match I'm very much looking forward to. As Takeshita, I noticed now he's turned heel how good he is, and obviously we all know how good Omega is. So yeah, very much looking forward to that one. And yeah, this match it was very good itself. I feel like we need to see more of Ibushi in AEW. If there's been no like sign that he's signed with them permanently, but we've only really seen him in multi-man matches. I'd love to see him in a singles match, as I actually haven't seen any of Ibushi's matches ever. It's something I'm very interested in. And yeah, as I enjoyed the match and looking forward to Takeshita versus Omega. After that, we had FTR successfully defend the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks. I thought this was a brilliant match. I think it just missed off being match of the night. It's definitely in the honourable mentions for being match of the night. But yeah, I don't know what else to say that people haven't already said about these tag teams wrestling. It was quality wrestling, great storytelling, and brilliant crowd play. I found it very interesting that the Bucks didn't shake hands with FTR afterwards, especially as it was the rubber match between them. Or maybe they're going to do another 2 matches and do best of 5 or best of 7. Either way. Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially like if it does lead into a more heel side of the Young Bucks, especially as Kenny and Hangman and Ibushi are all face. Yeah, I think that's a interesting dynamic within the Elite. And it's something I'd be very interested in, as long as we don't play our Who's Friends with the Young Bucks again, because that was many months of awful storylines. But yeah, I think as a concept for the Elite, having some that are heel and some that are face would be very interesting to see. And yeah, it is very interesting to see where the Bucks go from here, because they only recently said they want to come back into tag wrestling after being in the trios division for so long. And now they've lost probably their biggest match for the titles to date. And yeah, I'm interested to see where they go. FTR, I'm interested in seeing who they're going to face at All Out, if they'll defend the titles at all. If anything, I'd probably say that the Bullet Club Gold are in a very good position to be getting a rematch, especially after the hour-long match they had a few months ago, and they got the win here over Kenny and Hangman. But yeah, as I said, I'm glad that the recent events of Cash Wheeler didn't change any of the results here. And it didn't really play much in the match. There was no reference to it or anything like that, which was very good to see. And yeah, as I say, absolutely brilliant match, absolute quality. I know I've not really said much about it, but you know, I agree with what everyone else is saying, how it was a fantastic match and how good these 2 tag teams are. After that, we had Eddie Kingston, Penta El Zero Miedo, Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends defeat the Blackpool Combat Club, Santana and Ortiz in the Stadium Stampede match. This was crazy, it was violent, it was right up my alley. I loved it. It was definitely an honourable mention for match of the night, similar to the tag match beforehand. And yeah, it just, from everything from barbed wire, chairs and boards, to the wooden sticks in the head of Moxley, to the orange punch wrapped in glass, it was just crazy, mental bollocks. And as I said, I loved it. I think it was great. I think the only real small complaint I have is there was almost too much going on for this one. Like, for example, while Claudio was doing the swing, we had a spot using Lego. I think Chuck Taylor got dropped by somebody, I can't remember who, on Lego. And we had a double table spot. But especially in the audience, we were concentrating on the swing and we nearly missed those spots. But I think it was just a minor complaint from my side, but very enjoyable. You know, Orange Cassidy became Red Cassidy. And yeah, I think I was one of the people that thought he wouldn't fit well into this match, and I was proven very wrong again about Orange Cassidy, and he fit in quite well. And yeah, we saw the return of Penta El Scoro, which is something I enjoyed. It just came a bit out of nowhere. There was no build up for it. I didn't even realise Penta had left the match, and then suddenly he was coming out as his alternative persona. And yeah, after the event, in the media scrum, it was announced that Orange Cassidy would face Penta on Dynamite this week for the International Championship, and the winner of that would face Moxley at All Out. Personally, I would love to see a one-on-one matchup between Cassidy and Moxley. I feel like similar to some of the early matches Cassidy was having, like at the first Forbidden Door against Osprey, against Pac, against Omega. It's the complete opposite style of how Cassidy would wrestle, especially with Moxley. I feel like it would be a really, really good match, as the aforementioned matches were really good as well. So that would have been a match I am fully up for. Like, if anything, I would have had Mox and Cassidy at this event, but I understand why they've done Stadium Stampede, as it was so good and fit the bill perfectly. After that, we had Surya defeat Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker to become the new AEW Women's World Champion. This was another decent match. There was a couple of slow patches in there, but it didn't really take away from the match itself. I did like the creative way that they got round the Outcasts. They got round Storm and Surya being on the same team. And yeah, having kind of Suraya's mom involved as well was really cool. And as I said, it was a unique way to kind of get over the hump of them being on the same side. And yeah, then we had Soho come out, and then Tony took her out as well. So, you know, as much as we're seeing a lot of teams having dissensions in wrestling at the minute, Bloodline with the Judgment Day on WWE, it does mean that we're having another one here. Whether Toni Storm gets kicked out of the Outcasts, I would think that they are from what happened in the match. And it'll be Surya and Soho from now on. And then maybe just to put this into the atmosphere, bring Athena in. I think that'd be awesome. And also, you could also have it as like, if Soho defeats Statlander at All Out, you'll then have the Women's Champion, the TBS Champion, and the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. The Outcast could run the Women's Division. Not a bad idea, I'm just saying. Another thing that for me was like, there was sometimes thinking about songs and whether they fit as themes. We Will Rock You by Queen and the National Anthem do not fit as themes. I did not enjoy them being themes used, and I was very happy when Surya got the pin. They played Zombified. But that was, again, little minor complaint from me. But yeah, as I said, it was very good. I didn't see a lot of Baker, but then if she's wrestling hurt, then that doesn't surprise me, and hopefully she'll get some time off after this to be able to go and recover. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Shida. It does feel a bit like a transitional reign for her. But why they wouldn't want Storm to lose to Surya would have probably added to the story of with there being issues within the Outcasts. But I don't know, it's good and bad in a way, but I don't feel like I'm rambling on a bit now. But yeah, so the match itself was really good. Very much enjoyed it. As I said, a few slow patches, but as I said, didn't take away from the match too much. We have a new Women's World Champion in our homegirl, Surya. Next up, we had Darby Allin and Sting defeat Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage in a coffin match. I thought this was a really fun match. There was not a dull moment in this one. I enjoyed it for the most part. What would I describe it as a match itself? It was alright, you know, it was decent to have between the big pop for Surya and then the big pops for Will Osprey. I thought it was a really cool match to have between. And yeah, Christian, he just has terrible luck when it comes to coffins. You know, he lost the Buried Alive match, I forgot what they called it now. And now he's lost this one. I know he didn't get put in the coffin, but, you know, coffin matches just aren't his thing, you know. As for the rest, Sting, what a guy, man. He's so incredible. You know, it's just, flying around through tables, taking spots on the coffin. He just, I think I saw the other day he's 67. Like, that might be wrong, but man, if he is, Jesus Christ, incredible. And it doesn't seem like he's going to be done anytime soon either. And I would like to see him and Darby almost have a tag team title run. Like, I wouldn't have them beat FTR, but like whoever FTR loses to, give these two the titles. They're undefeated as a tag team. I think it said on the Tron it was 18-0 for Darby and Sting, which is pretty cool and pretty good. And other teams have had title shots with not that good of a record, so I definitely have them up there. And but yeah, we've got Luchasaurus and Darby Allin at All Out this weekend. I think it should be a really good match. Darby always seems to put on really good matches with bigger opponents. I don't think this will be any different. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And who's going to win? Well, you'll have to see on the predictions video on Thursday. But yeah, as a whole, great fun match to have between Big Pops and Sting. Just, man, he's so good. Next up, we had Will Osprey defeat Chris Jericho in what was co-match of the night. Like, I couldn't choose between this and the main event for what was going to be match of the night, so they're both going to be. But yeah, this was just incredible. Everyone knows how good these two are, and it's just like the greatest of the present in Osprey and the greatest of the past in Jericho, and they put on an electric performance, and it was just so good from start to finish. I cannot say enough good things about this match. It was just the highest quality of wrestling, and it was so enjoyable. As a fan, to be part of the atmosphere, it was fantastic, and then watching it back, it just lived up to how it felt as a fan. So yeah, as I said, I can't say much about it. I liked how what I did like about the match was Chris Jericho, though he was a face going into the match, he wrestled like a heel. He had Sammy Guevara hit Osprey with a bat while he was in the walls of Jericho, and he went for a low blow during the match as well. I like how some wrestlers can change the dynamic of a match depending on where the location of the show happens. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that Will Osprey will be back around AEW soon. I know it's been every so often so far, normally around Forbidden Door times and then some random spots here and there. And if his contract is up in New Japan in 6 months, I beg Tony Khan to reach into his pocket and get this guy signed, because he is so good and he should be a future AEW World Champion. As for Jericho, he did push away Sammy at the end of the match, which would suggest that kind of he's going to go off on his own more. I know that the Jericho Appreciation Society did leave him behind, whereas Sammy didn't. But either this will turn into a Sammy heel turn, or Jericho will turn on Sammy, making it face turn. Either way, I feel like might get Jericho versus Sammy at All Out, or maybe Chris Jericho will just go away for a while. I'm not sure. I feel like either could happen, or nothing will happen, But yeah, for me, as a co-match of the night for this one, and yeah, honestly, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It is so good. Having the unfortunate task of following that was the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn defeating the House of Black to become the new Trios champions. The pop after the match, the result was huge, probably one of the loudest of the night, apart from maybe the main event stuff and when Will Osprey got the win. But yeah, I thought having the man-on-woman violence of Julia Hart being taken out by the Acclaimed was an interesting way to go. I didn't think they'd actually do that or anything like that. It was very unexpected, but I think it was a good way of doing it, and I'm glad that they were comfortable enough to have some man-on-woman interaction during such a big show. I know that a lot of people online will probably be complaining about it. I feel like if all are agreed and all feel safe, then there shouldn't be an issue. But I don't know. I just know there'll be people online bitching about it. But anyway, as I said, the match itself was decent, action-packed throughout. I feel like my bias of the House of Black did come into play here, as I felt very deflated after the result. Though you could say that due to their two losses, due to the two losses to the House of Black, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn learnt from their mistakes and managed to kind of take advantage of what they've learned. Therefore, I'm rushing because I can't think of the words I'm trying to think of, but they had answers to every offensive move from the House of Black. And yeah, I think like they controlled the match for the most part, which I didn't expect. I expected it to be quite even, and it really wasn't. The Acclaimed controlled for the most part. Billy Gunn looked really good throughout. And yeah, it just, I don't know. It wasn't as I expected. That's what I'm trying to say. I know I'm kind of losing my train of thought a lot here, but yeah, I think, and one thing that confused me a lot was they showed Mercedes Moné like twice during this match, and I can't understand why, unless they're trying to like show she's going to join the Acclaimed or something, which I don't think would fit very well, as Moné is a natural heel and the Acclaimed are very much over as babyfaces at the minute. But I would have had Moné shown on screen a couple of times during the women's match, especially as there's a connection between Moné and Surya. And yeah, I think the only complaint I really have about this one was the miscommunication between Brody King and Malachi Black. They seem to be a constant thing throughout the night, having tag teams be miscommunicating. With obviously the Outcasts was a big one. FTR and the Bucks did it during their match, and now we had it in this one. I think it's almost, they did it too much. But it didn't really play much of an effect in the match itself here. But yeah, I said, deflated by the result, but it was a good match, and I respect that the Acclaim got the win here, but I would have much preferred House of Black being the champion. And finally, in the main event, we had MJF defeat Adam Cole to retain the AEW World Championship. This, with the Will Osprey and Chris Jericho match, was co-match of the night in my opinion. I couldn't choose between the two, they were so good. This had quality wrestling, impactful drama, brutal moves, and was just a phenomenal match from start to finish. It had a nice start of great transitional wrestling from both, and almost had that comedy element to it as well, with MJF funnily going for handshakes and stuff. But as soon as MJF did as soon as MJF did an eye poke and Adam Cole slapped him, the feel of the match completely changed. And I noticed that with watching it back and in the arena itself. And from that point, it was very interesting for me, because Adam Cole was a huge heel during this match. Like, I thought at one point I'd missed the turn. Like, we know we're going to get one, but I thought I completely missed it. Cole was doing some absolutely awful stuff to MJF, from German suplexes on the apron, the pile driver on the table, the multiple brutal destroyers he was giving MJF throughout. And yeah, as I said, I thought I'd missed the turn happen. It was so clear that Adam Cole was acting like a heel. You could see how genuinely hurt MJF was by how Adam Cole was acting. And yeah, it just added so much to the drama of the match. Like, we talk about how the bloodline is all drama. This match right here is how the Jey Uso and Roman Reigns match should have been, and yet it wasn't. This was much, much, much better. And yeah, I think the match, those calling the double clothesline, and then the duck, and then they both hit, and then we had the pinfall and a draw, was a really good way to trick the audience and get a big reaction out of them, and also a good way to harken back to the original match a few weeks ago, where I think commentary said it was a few months ago, which I can't believe, where Adam Cole asked for 5 more minutes, MJF says no, and they go for a winner. And it was fantastic, some quick roll-ups, and yeah, it was, as I said, absolutely great way to kind of make this feel like it's gone full circle as far as stories go. We had Roderick Strong come down to try and help on Adam Cole's heel antics, and he did for a little bit, but Cole didn't turn in the end, and Roderick Strong dropped off with the Kingdom. I don't know whether we're going to get some kind of 3-on-2 handicap match maybe out of these guys, just to kind of squash that stuff with Roderick Strong. I really don't like the way Strong's been booked in AEW. They would have actually been better staying in NXT with the Dynamite, in my opinion. But yeah, MJF's neck took some absolutely awful abuse after the draw was taken. He got dropped on the steps. Oh, that was earlier in the match. The step spot was absolutely brutal, by the way. Like, it wasn't just he landed on the top, he landed on the steps part. It was horrible to see. And yeah, and then we have Bryce Remberg, who, respect to him, he took a Canadian Destroyer, or the Panama Sunrise if you will, and then played it off brilliantly with a close call for a pin, and of not getting up. Like, I know when they do slow counts and stuff, but this was immensely slow, which makes sense because he got dropped straight on his face. And yeah, and in the one moment during the match that Cole finally didn't act like a heel, he got rolled up and MJF got the pin for a huge ovation. Trust me, I don't think the broadcast did the crowd enough. Like, we were loud throughout the whole event, and they definitely turned us down. Like, I'm gonna maybe put a video up on the entrances after the outro of this match, and it was so loud. Yet, you know, it didn't seem that loud on the broadcast. I don't know why they turned them down, in my opinion. But yeah, they hug it out at the end of the show, and they're all very friendly during the media scrum as well, and they announced that there's going to be an All In next year, which is huge. Whether I'll go, it remains to be seen. But yeah, I don't know. I think that MJF shouldn't trust Cole after that match. I certainly wouldn't if I was in his shoes. But either way, absolutely quality match. Again, similar to Jericho and Osprey. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is fantastic. I can't say enough good about it. No complaints anywhere from me. And yeah, just a brilliant way to top off a brilliant show, mate. So those are my thoughts and opinions of AEW All In London 2023. Do put down below what your favourite match of the night was, what you thought. If you were there, did you enjoy it? Did you not? What do you think was missing? What do you think could have done better? Any feedback for me on the channel? Anything I could improve? Please do let me know. Predictions wise, I'm doing pretty good for AEW, I must say. Like, in the corner here, you can see I've got 30 out of 37 predicted matches correct. So only 7, and we're in August, September. So I think that's pretty good overall, a lot better than my WWE predictions. And yeah, so I'm going to put some pictures that I took from my seats at Wembley, the outro. So I did post them on the Instagram. It's the_wrestling_retrospective. I will put the tag down below. Please do follow that. I do post pretty regularly about anything that's going on in wrestling, especially during the weekly shows. As I said, there was no weekly show this week because I completely missed SmackDown, Collision and Rampage due to being in London and being busy. I do apologise. So there will be a video next Sunday on all the weekly stuff. And yeah, just a lot of videos coming up on the channel. Tomorrow I'm doing my predictions for Payback. Thursday will be my predictions for All Out. And then Sunday will be the weekly review video. Monday will be my review of Payback. And then Tuesday, like today, there will be the review of All Out. So a lot of content coming up on the channel. So please do give this video a like. Please do subscribe below. Please do share everything and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later.